Hey everyone, it's Jeff Salzenstein. Man, this is exciting. I am live out here in Denver, Colorado, and I want to give a big shout out to Peter Freeman and TennisCon for inviting me to be a part of this event. You know, you have the legends of the sport involved in tennis with TennisCon, and of course Paul Annacone and others. Crunch Time Coaching, we see you. Yes, I am here from Bible Park live, Denver, Colorado, early morning. Really excited to be a part of this huge event, and I know, Peter, you've put in a lot of effort, time, and you've put this amazing event together, and I just want to thank you and appreciate you for doing this and moving the game of tennis forward. And as we talked about, Peter, this live that we're doing right now, and of course it'll be recorded for those that are a part of TennisCon later, we're gonna focus on the serve today. I know this is a big serve day. We're gonna focus on the serve, specifically getting power after the age of 50. So those of you who are over 50, you're definitely gonna enjoy today's serve lesson that I'm going to do. But guess what? Even if you're not 50, you're going to get a lot of value out of this lesson. So we're not going to leave you out either. But keep in mind, there's a lot of components that go into serving your best, serving with a lot of power. What we're going to do is we're going to go for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then I'd like to open it up for any Q&A at the end, because I'm sure there will be clarifying questions that come through with some of the concepts that I teach. And you know, if we go a little bit longer than 30 minutes, okay, we might do that, because again, I have a lot that I want to share with you. First, I want to tell a quick story. My journey with the serve has been an interesting one. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I was a national champion at age 12, and I was a guy who won with guile and smarts and finding ways to win, and really with athleticism. I was a good mover, I had good hands, but I also was smart and competitive. I didn't have a big serve. You know, I made my serve, it was consistent, it worked well as a lefty, but when I got to college, my freshman year in college, I had the worst serve in college tennis. And my coaches there tried to get me to pronate, they tried to get my toss higher, they tried all these different things, and it didn't work. I actually was 22-4 my freshman year, but again, finding ways to win was my thing. I was the street smart player without the big serve. And I knew there was no way I could go to the next level without developing my serve. So between my freshman and my sophomore year, I went home to Denver, Colorado. Instead of following the herd and playing pro tennis, I went back to Denver and I started copying Goran Ivanisevic. Now, this guy's a lefty fireballer, and I started copying his serve. He was playing in Wimbledon. This is all the way back in 1993, before we had YouTube and video and things we could study. And I just watched him at Wimbledon, and I studied his archer motion, where he rears back and tosses it low and cranks the serve, and something broke through. So one of the lessons for you guys out there is, if you can start to model great servers, you definitely can improve your serve and you can gain more power. And so I developed this big serve in college almost by luck, just by modeling, trying to copy Goran Ivanisevic. So that was the beginning of my serve transformation. So, you know, when I got out on the pro tour, and by the way, this serve allowed me to play pro tennis. Without the serve, I had no chance. So think about your game right now. What would be possible in your game if you jumped your serve 1 or 2 levels? What would happen to your game? Just imagine that right now, the possibility there, because that's what happened for me. I was a very solid college player with 0 chance of playing pro tennis with an average serve. I was going to get my economics degree and get a real job, and it just so happened that I developed this 125 mile an hour serve, and I figured, well, I'll try the pro tour. So I get out on the pro tour and I have early success, and I couldn't break the top 100 though after several years. I had injuries, I had surgeries, I had just setback after setback, and I had a hard time getting to the next level. And so I sought out John Yandel when I was 28 years old, and we did video analysis on my serve, and this is when I started to really understand the serve. Some of the tips that I'm going to teach you today are related to what I learned from John, but also from all the coaching that I've done the last decade. And so what I did is I worked with John and I studied Pete Sampras's serve, arguably the best serve of all time, even to this day. And I started understanding how the serve worked. And I went from a pinpoint stance to a platform stance. I also made an equipment change. I changed from a Wilson Pro Staff to a Babolat Pure Drive, because at the time, Andy Roddick had come on the scene as a young 18-year-old. Now he's a Hall of Famer. And I added 5 miles an hour to my serve because of improved technique and and because of an equipment change. So I was always tinkering, always trying to find ways to improve as a player. And then, of course, as a coach, I started cutting my teeth working with players of all levels. And I developed a system to help people improve their serves, get more power, more consistency, and more accuracy. So I just turned 44 2 days ago at the time of this recording. And I've been studying the serve for probably 20, 25 years as a player and as a coach. And guess what? Today, I'm going to share some of my tips and tricks and secrets with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into 3 components today to help you get more power. Some of these tips are going to be more subtle than other tips that I'm going to give. You might think, gosh, well, how is that going to really help me get power? But ultimately, we want to help you improve your serve. So if it doesn't directly relate to power, know that there's a method to my madness, and I want to give you the most content, the most value in this 20 to 30 minutes that I possibly can. And that's my goal, is to totally over deliver. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand the phone over to my trusty camera person. Happens to be my mother today, and this is a mother-son job today. She is my videographer, and yep, the cat's out of the bag. I'm being real. I'm being vulnerable. I see we got 43 people watching right now. This is freaking awesome. I'm so excited to have you guys here. And what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into 3 components today. Number 1, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset. Peter Freeman, hi mom. Yep, she'll say hi back, I'm sure. So the first component, we're gonna talk about mindset and visualization. Okay, that's gonna be the first component. The second component is we're gonna get into some technique, and I can talk for hours about technique. So if you want to learn more about technique, I know Peter's got some great content at Crunch Time Coaching. I've got great content on the serve. We're both very passionate about it. So the second component is gonna be technique. And then the third is I'm going to get into some fitness and injury prevention, which I think you guys are going to love, because you don't see some of this stuff every day from tennis coaches. But, I had injuries, so I had to figure out how to heal my body, how to improve my body. And I'm going to give you some quick tips and tricks with fitness today. So number 1, mindset visualization. Number 2, technique. Number 3, we're going to jump into some fitness and injury prevention. So we're going to put the camera here. Got my trusty camera person. Thanks a lot for helping me out today, Mom. Appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little walk. So we're going to walk over to the service line on the other side. So the big thing that I want you guys to focus on as it relates to targets, and this is different than what a lot of people teach, is a lot of people put the targets in this corner right here and make it very, very very tough to hit the spots, okay? So what I like to do is I make the targets bigger and I make them shorter in the box, okay? And the reason that I do that is I want a bigger target. Again, when we think about how do we want to get more power, okay? I think about having a bigger target so you can swing more freely. Because when you start putting the targets in the corners, you might get a little conservative. You might feel like, gosh, I don't know if I can hit that spot, so I'm just gonna get it in. And we don't want to do that. So I like big targets. Many of you out there aren't the best servers. You're not serving like Federer. You can't hit your spots. I remember one time Pete Sampras was at Saddlebrook, and he put his targets down, in these really specific little spots, and he just would knock his tennis ball cans left and right. But most of us aren't good enough to do that. So I want to help you build your confidence and feel like you can swing freely. So I want big targets. Here's one lane. So if you could just come over here. I want one lane like this to hit it through. So instead of a target like this, I want a lane to hit it through, okay? And here's another lane. So you've got plenty of room to hit your serve in. Now, yes, maybe you won't be as precise with your targets. You won't be hitting the exact spot. But again, if we're thinking about gaining power, we need to be able to swing that racket freely and feel like we have a bigger margin for error. There were times that I was super nervous in matches. Serving out matches, some of the biggest matches in my career, and my arm felt like lead. It was so heavy, and I knew that I couldn't hit these spots. You know what I would do? I would serve every first serve 130 miles an hour into the body. So I would serve into the body every first serve, and if I miss my target, if I hit it here or if I hit it here, I still made my serve, and I had a forehand on the next ball. So let's go ahead and come up here a little bit. So one thing that I want to point out, come a little closer to me. One thing I want to point out is that I kept evolving my serve. When I was 32 years old, I hit a 136 mile an hour serve at the BNP Paribas Open. It was effortless. And again, it was a combination of this target practice, it was technique, and it was also getting my body strong and flexible and mobile. And so I just want to impress upon those of you that are over 50, you're not done yet. We're just getting started. You can keep developing your body. I mean, I turned 44 2 days ago and people are like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what's the secret? Yeah, I got a few wrinkles. Yeah, I got a few grays here. But honestly, my body's very open. My shoulder is loose, and I'm gonna show you guys some stuff today that you're gonna absolutely love, but I digress. Let's get to the next concept. I like to talk about windows. So we've talked about targets and having big lanes so that you can swing freely. I like to hit through windows. So when you're getting ready to serve, look at a spot above the net and pretend there's an imaginary window there, and just stay loose and just let the racket go and just aim for your spot. It's like playing darts. And what I find is a lot of people get so bogged down into technique when they play, and this is the highest level. I've worked with ATP pros, I've worked with Division I colleges players, top nationally ranked juniors, adults. Everyone has this fixation when things are not going so well with technique or with their toss. And I like to just start with, hey, let's get your mind focused on your visual targets. And that's what we do here with the targets on the ground and with this imaginary window. So those are two big tips right away. If you want to improve your serve, and if you want to get more power on your serve and swing with more confidence, let's get really clear targets. Let's let the technique go, especially when we're competing, and really focus on those visual targets. So we're going to head back over to the other side now. That was my quick tip that I wanted to give you on targets and visualization. Now, related to that, I want you to focus on something that I call trigger words. And trigger words are this idea of when you hit a serve, you want to focus on giving yourself positive feedback. So if I were to hit a serve, I'm actually going to start hitting a few. If I were to hit a serve, I would want to give myself feedback after I hit the serve. So when I hit it, okay, if it sounds good on my racket, I'm going to give myself a big yes. So it's like, yes, that felt really good. Okay, I'll actually get behind the line so I don't foot fault. Okay, and that felt good too. So I really listen for the sounds off the strings. Many of you out there are hitting your serve at the top of the racket. You're losing power when you hit the ball up here. So you notice that what have I started with today? I haven't gotten into technique yet. I've started with mindset and what? Awareness. I want you to become aware of where the ball is hitting on the strings and the sound that you're making on the strings. I see a lot of people hitting serves at the top of the racket. It makes that kind of mushy sound, and you're going to lose 5 to 7 miles per hour when you do that. So keep listening for the sound. Okay, that felt pretty good. It didn't go in, but it felt good on the racket. And then I want to give myself feedback. Like, let's say I hit it up here and it doesn't feel great. I'm going to maybe try to hit it down here, right? I over-exaggerate to hit the ball in this area if I know that I have the pattern of doing that. Also, if I hit a clean, if I mishit it a little bit, I might say to myself, okay, cleaner or crisper or better sound. And you'll notice those are direct trigger words that actually train your mind, okay, your subconscious mind and your mind to actually do the right thing. Because most of you out there, okay, I'm not going to pick on you, but most of you out there, we'll keep it general, are berating yourself or getting negative. So you might hit a serve and say, oh gosh, that was such a bad toss, or man, I just didn't hit that ball well at all. And what are you doing? You're training the negative side. You're training the negative side of your mind to focus on that. So after every serve, I want you guys to focus on positive trigger words. It could be the word yes, it could be cleaner, it could be head up, it could be, I have people say window or target, to really get them focused on what we want to do to create success. Okay, so I've handled the visualization and the mindset component. We've talked about targets very quickly, hitting through those lanes. We've talked about hitting through windows, and then we've talked about trigger words. So you know what, guys, we can go home now. Those three things, if you go out and start working on those three concepts, your serve can improve. There's no doubt in my mind. I've seen it happen. I've had players come to my court and they say, oh, I'm really struggling with my serve. I think it's my toss, I think it's my rhythm. And I say, you know what, let's just start with targets and let's start with trigger words. And within 5 to 10 minutes, there's a little more pep in their step. They're standing a little taller. They're just more excited about serving. So really think about, how can you change your mindset? Like, what would it take for you to change your mindset so that you can serve better and gain more power? The older we are, the more bad habits we might have. So we have to relearn, we have to get those better habits going for us. Okay, that was component 1 of this Serve Power Over 50 class that we're teaching right now. Let's get into some technique. So there are many things that I can cover with technique, and where to start. I think the first place that I want to start is rhythm. And so what I find is that a lot of people have a hitch, or they have like a distorted rhythm with their serve. So I see players that serve, and a lot of times they move the racket, the serving arm, too early. So it's that down together, up together concept, or actually this racket gets up right away. It gets here, and then the player has to wait, okay? The player has to wait for the ball. And when you do that and you have to wait, the racket can stop in that trophy position, all right? So I really want to help players develop rhythm. Now, I'm going to get to the grip in a second, and I'm going to get to that concept. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I know that I'm sure others are covering that. So I just wanted to give you some of my big leverage points for you, assuming that you have a continental grip. So again, I'll touch on that in a minute, but I want to go over some rhythm here. So the first drill, one of the big drills that I do with players, is I do what's called a continuous swings. And again, other coaches do this as well. We might teach it a little bit different, but what I like to do is I like to swing 2 times, 1, 2, and then toss and hit. And the racket has to keep moving. Now guess what? When I do this drill, I don't think I've ever had a player do 2 continuous swings, and then when they go to hit the ball, have that last swing mirror or be the exact same as the continuous swing. Because as soon as we introduce the ball, we go back to our old rhythm. So what do? I actually have players serve into a fence. So I'll have players do 2 continuous swings like this, and then have them hit into a fence. Okay, that's one way to start to change technique and start to change rhythm. Now, that usually still doesn't do it. So what do I do from there? I actually have players close their eyes. So I'll have 2 swings, 1, 2, and then the eyes are closed here, 3. And again, we're focusing more on the rhythm and what the arm is doing, and we're taking the ball and that extra stimulus out of play. So I believe that if you want to improve your serve, if you want to gain more power, I want you to serve more into a fence, and I want you to practice this continuous swing drill. It would be great if you could get someone to video your serve from behind so that you can see where your elbow is, how your trophy position is. Because a lot of players, they don't turn their shoulders enough. The elbow is too high or the elbow is too low. So you want to see if you can get into that beautiful trophy position when you do your continuous swings. And the body just moves naturally if we get the right technique. That's what's really interesting, is that I've had a lot of players, when we do continuous swings, their technique looks better with the continuous swing than it does with the regular swing. It's almost like we manufacture our own technique in order to connect with the ball. And I actually want us to focus on ignoring the ball. I'll close my eyes again here. And I actually hit the ball with my eyes closed there because I understand the rhythm of my serve. So practice against a fence, practice your continuous swings. Real quick, I'm gonna pick up this sock here. Now, I know Lisa Dodson is part of Tennis Con, and she's got her Serve Master. That's a great tool. This one I got from On Court, Off Court. But another great way just to develop rhythm is you can use this Serve Sock or the Serve Master at home, and you'll just notice how my arm is just so lazy. The liquid power, the natural power comes from that rhythm, that relaxation, that timing, and the tempo. And a lot of players just don't have it. They get going too fast early. They have to wait up here. The racket face opens. A lot of challenges occur when you don't have that great rhythm. So I'm actually going to back up. Actually, no, let me touch on another point here. So I want to talk about what the feet do in this continuous serve drill. Now, I'm a big proponent of the platform stance, and that's where the feet do not move. Now, I copied Goran Ivanisevic, early in my career, and I had a pinpoint. And a lot of people can get more rhythm when they bring the foot up like that and get more forward momentum. So I'm not opposed to that. If you guys feel more comfortable with the pinpoint stance, you can go ahead and continue to do that. But what I find is that when people use the pinpoint is that they lose their ability to have a great shoulder turn. A lot of times people serve and then they stay facing the net like this, and that will impact power. Okay, and that will also impact his skies as well. I'm a big believer in having that strong first move. So getting back to the continuous swings with the feet, what I like to do, and this is very, very challenging, so I'm just preparing you guys when you try to do this. This is not the easiest drill to do, but I like to train balance as I'm working on the serve. So if I hit a continuous swing, notice what my feet are doing. My weight's on my back foot here, transfers to the front foot, and then when I finish, I can literally tap this toe. This is the balance that we want to be practicing, okay? A lot of players do their serves without the legs here, and then they chase the toss like this, and they're off balance when they're done. If you can practice continuous swings, and you notice the weight, back and then forward, back and then forward. So I'm transferring the weight. Back foot, there's probably about 70 to 80% of the weight on the back foot when I make my first move. And then when I'm done, all of the weight is on the front foot. My stance is narrow. I'm not too turned like this. I'm in this position. This is not my normal stance when I actually hit the serve. And then I can just release my foot, and then notice how my arm just comes through. I come through and I loop it through. It's like a figure eight, like this. And tennis is actually a game of circles, spirals, and figure eights. It's not all linear. I do talk about hitting through the ball, but you want to be able to have this circular feeling when you swing with this balance. So notice the balance that I have at the end. So I've got it to where I can practice and hit the serve and maintain my balance in this position. So that would be a great thing to strive for when you're practicing your continuous serves. Now, I want to add a variation here, and I call it walking serves. This is a very advanced drill. I don't use it a lot with my players. I think the continuous swing is the way to go, but just a real quick way to develop timing, rhythm, and tempo, because ultimately power comes from timing, tempo, rhythm, and relaxation. A lot of you guys are so tight out there, we got to get you to relax. I swear we can talk for 3 hours about the serve. I love this. This is amazing. So walking serve looks like this. I step forward with my back foot, and as I do this, and as I'm about to put this foot down, that's when I make my first move. So I step, go, and then I step through. Okay, and then I start over again. I step, and go through. It's called walking serves. I just wanted to give you a little taste test of what that could look like. Usually, I don't use that drill a lot, but it does help establish rhythm with a player if they want to develop their serve. Okay, where should we go next? Let's go back to the grip. Now, many of you out there with the grip aren't using a continental grip yet. And ultimately, if you want to get to the next level, sure, you can have a forehand grip and aim to big targets and maybe improve your serve 5-10 miles an hour, but at some point there's going to be a limit. So we got to get that continental serve, continental grip. A lot of coaches will probably be talking about that with Tennis Con. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but a subtle thing that isn't talked about a lot is the trigger finger or the index finger. A lot of players hold the racket like this when they serve. There's a lot of tightness this way, okay? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the trigger finger is spread. Trigger finger is spread like this, and ideally we want to get the heel of the hand off of the racket. When players are choked up like this and in this kind of formation right here with the hand, you're losing the ability to relax. You're losing the ability to swing the racket. So 2 big tips. You want to spread the index finger. You want the heel of the hand off of the racket, okay? And then you want to make sure that when you start, a lot of people start here, their wrist is cocked, they're really tight. I like to have the wrist pretty relaxed. Like, I actually can do it where I'm neutral like this. My wrist is neutral, but we don't want it like this. We don't want a lot of tension. So the idea is to have little tension in the hand here, okay? And then when we start, we want to have the hand pretty relaxed. We want to be able to hold the racket in this position with the ball and the tossing hand, and so that we can barely hold this racket like this. So we want the grip tension very, very low. A lot of players, they get into this position, and then when they start, they actually get tighter. So that's a whole nother kettle of fish. So real quick, I want to get into the racket drop. We've talked about rhythm and tempo with the continuous swings. We just touched on the grip and how you can start. And of course, when you make the first move, you want to make sure that the racket face is closed like this when you make the first move. A lot of people like to open up. You do that, you're dead. There's no power happening. So practice making first moves. I got a first move drill where you just move the racket like this. It's as simple as this. Can you practice this? Because as soon as this happens, it's over. You're not going to be able to get the power that you want long term. So we really want to improve that first move. Now, real quick, I want to touch on the racket drop. A lot of players complain to me that they don't have a great racket drop, and that's a sure sign that that player is not relaxed enough. So one of the things I like to do is if someone's gripping too tight and they swing and they get in the racket drop and they're not able to let the racket drop back like this, we have to take tension out of the hand. And so what I do is I just make sure, again, kind of continuous swings is really the way to go with it. We get the pinky and the ring finger off of the racket. We get the middle finger and the index finger here. We got the thumb here, and we just simply swing the racket really, really loose. Now, you're not going to hit a ball doing this, but this should give you a sense of the type of relaxation you need, the lack of tension that you need to get the power that you want. Very, very important to practice that. And then, of course, you can choke up and try to mimic that. Now, when that happens, when you're super loose, here's what I feel. I feel my continuous swing, but from here, I really feel my elbow fire up to the ball, and that's how we create that racket drop. Okay, it can't happen if you're gripping the racket tight and you're trying to force the issue. You're trying to get the ball in, and that's why serving against a fence is so critical, because at that stage, we're not worried about making serves. We're focusing on developing the proper motion, and that involves giving up some control and understanding how the racket can do the talking instead of you forcing the issue. So see if you can practice with a really low, with a couple fingers off of the racket like this, and just let the racket swing and feel right here, feel that elbow fire up to the ball, okay? And you'll notice again, if I grip the racket, look where the racket is. If I take tension out, look what the racket does. It drops. So the racket drop is just, the only thing it is relaxation. If we can learn to relax the hand and the arm and get that elbow to fire up like this, it's only because relaxation is happening. If we're tight, it's not going to happen. All right, let me take a look real quick at how much time we've been going here. 27 minutes, 131 people. This is amazing. I'm rocking and rolling here. All right, so where do I want to go next? Do I want to teach another concept around power on the serve? We talked about continuous swings. We talked about the walking serve related to continuous swings, serving into the fence. We quickly touched on the grip, and I gave you 2 tips. Trigger finger, heel the hand off of the racket. We talked about the start and making sure you're relaxed at the start and not really tight here. What else did we talk about? We talked about the first move. All right, real quickly, like we want to make this move right here. A lot of times I'll have a player start in a 3/4 motion and toss here, so then the racket can lag afterwards. This down together, up together gets people into trouble. The racket face opens, the elbow drops, the elbow goes up. A lot of things happen. So I like 3/4 serve, and then we can just bring the racket here up and get into that trophy position. We really need to make sure that the racket face stays closed. Where do I want to go? We talked about, racket drop. I'll do one more quick tip on technique, and then we'll get into fitness. Sound good? Great. Okay, so the last tip is what I call elbow the enemy. And it's simply thinking about when you make your first move that you want to elbow an enemy behind you here. And that's going to allow you, again, to turn the shoulders. If you're going to throw a ball, you want to be in this position. Look at my elbow right here, okay? A lot of players don't find that position. They move with their arms first, and then the elbow stays in this position. There's no turn, and you can't get a lot of power from there. So we want to turn those shoulders and get into that elbow the enemy position right here, and that's going to help you get more power. I actually had a YouTube video player I've never met before, which is really cool. You meet a lot of players that, well, you don't meet them, you don't even know who they are, and they send you testimonials and say, I improved my serve 15 miles an hour when I did the elbow the enemy. That makes my day. And we had that happen on YouTube. Guy sent it in, he says, hey, I did the elbow the enemy, changed my serve forever. So see if you can elbow the enemy, that enemy behind you right here, to add 15 miles per hour to your serve. Okay, I'm gonna get a quick drink of water here. And we're gonna head over to our fitness center, okay? Really, really expensive gym membership. You gotta pay $100 a month to upgrade your body. And you gotta go every single day, and you gotta train 2 hours a day to improve, to get more power on your serve after 50. No, I'm just kidding. So here's the deal. I've got a towel on the ground here so that I can do some exercises on the ground, all right? I can do body weight exercises till the cows come home, all right? I don't have to buy a gym membership, okay? I don't have to go to the gym every day. If I do a few things every day with consistency, I can upgrade my body, I can prevent injuries, I can open my body and get to the next level. First thing I want to talk about is strength. I keep it really simple, everyone. So number one, I want you to make sure, I got my trusty bands here. Now these bands you can carry with you, you can travel. There might be a link somewhere underneath the video at some point, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you're taking care of your shoulder. So just simple rotator cuff exercises with a band. I can just go here, you know, I can go here, right? There's a lot of, I can take it out here. There's a lot of flexibility. But what if you just did these exercises every day, right? Okay. What if you put this around a net, or if you're in your hotel room and you do your rows, boom, you see a lot of the pros warming up with this. Nadal, boom, here we go. What if you did some of this stuff right here? Think this would help your backhand volley? Think it would help your serve? Come on, guys. Come on, join the party. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes 3 times a week, make a huge difference with strength in your shoulder. Okay, so we got the cuff, we got the back, of course, simple push-ups. I'm a big believer in handling your own body weight. Can you handle your own body weight? We got push-ups, we got rows. What else do we got? Oh, single leg strength. I'm a big proponent. I do like people being able to jump off of both legs, push off of both legs. Power comes from the ground. You have to have strong legs. But I do like to train the legs separately. So of course you can do basic body weight squats like this, but I love challenging myself with single body leg squats like this. Guys, are you guys doing this at home? I know this gym membership is really expensive out here on the public courts in Denver, Colorado. I had to pay a lot to come out here to do my single leg squats. Okay, we're back. We're back again. All right, little technical difficulty, but hey, we're going live. We're working with it. All right, so single leg, seriously, look at this. Are you guys doing this at home? Single leg squats. There were days when I was playing on the tour, I would practice actually doing pistols all the way from the ground up. Now, I'm not saying you have to go do pistols, but boy, what if you really strengthened your legs? These are, you know, if you're over 50, maybe you can only go to here. Just get these going every day. Now, one thing I want you to look out for is there are some players, when they bend, they're gonna collapse in with the knees like this. I actually see it when people, especially kids, when they bend their knees, this knee actually collapses in. So you need to make sure when you do these exercises that you keep the knee over the second toe like this. You don't want to come in like this. You don't want to come out like this. You want to go over the second toe like that. Very, very important, because power comes from the feet and from the toes, from the big toes specifically. So we need to have the knees lined up over the feet when we do that. You could even do Bulgarian split squats. These are these are just split squats. The Bulgarian split squats I like to go on a bench like this. But again, simple. You could even just hold. You could have some resistance, hold some weights, or have the bands like this. But just practicing this on a consistent basis is absolutely huge. It'll make a huge difference. I've got some programs flexibility for tennis, strength and mobility for tennis. We cover all this stuff. But again, this is all about Tennis Con today. I'm showing you just some quick, easy exercises you can do. Here we go with a glute bridge. We're coming up for the glute bridge like this, squeezing the glutes. Again, power comes from the legs and the glutes. So yes, we want to be relaxed up here, but we want to be strong in the legs. You get to the point where you go single leg. Boom. You can hold it for time. Okay, for all of you over 50 out there, this is really, really important. I didn't bring my other band out there today, I forgot it. But what you can do is, it's a smaller band, but you can put it around your, again, this isn't going to be a good example here, but this would be a tight band around your knees, like so. And you can actually do squats with a really tight band around the legs to keep these legs, the knees, from going in. You're pushing out on the band as you're doing this. We want to keep strengthening the hips, the outer hips. So if you're doing exercises like this to get the outer hip with a band, that would be essential too. But you'll notice this is all basic stuff. This is not elaborate. I'm not using any machines. This is understanding and learning to use your body weight. So before we wrap up here, I want to get into some mobility and flexibility. And so you can take a band like this. We got to open up the shoulders, everyone, okay? We have to open up the shoulders. So you can see I can really get my arms overhead like this. This is a great exercise to open up the shoulders. Again, you can practice strengthening here. Boom. But I love doing this stuff right here. This feels amazing on my shoulder joint. And I'm going to show you a really cool traction exercise in a minute. But as it relates to flexibility, active stretching. I like to move here. Again, I know I'm going like rapid fire, I'm going fast, but I want to cover a lot of ground here. You guys can watch this later, start adding some of these exercises, but you'll notice I'm pulling across, I'm feeling a stretch in here. I can go different angles. I can go palm out, I can go palm down, I can go palm in. I'm a big believer in moving instead of holding stretches. If you like holding stretches and it works for you, go for it. I just like moving. Keep the body moving. Triceps. Okay, triceps here. Boom, we're just opening up the body. You can actually open up like this. Open up that chest. Amazing. One that I like is called Egyptians. And notice how I'm moving. Look how my shoulder is moving in the socket. How much range of motion can you create? Okay, another favorite one. Hands overhead, prayer position. And I'm going side to side and I'm reaching up and I'm stretching the lats out. A lot of power in the lats here if you can open it up. Open up the lats, open up the shoulders. Guys, are you doing this? Players, coaches, are you doing this with your players? 10 minutes a day of these mobility exercises and strength exercises, absolutely huge. Okay, a couple more. I love this one. Try doing this at home. Don't hurt yourself. Prayer position, press up, try to get as high as possible. Most people that I see, they're down in here. They can't get into this position. But what if you practice it over time? It's not too late, everyone. Over 50 is just the beginning. I'm telling you, I'm 44 years old. I still can move. My body is open. I don't have injuries. Things are not hurting. Got to keep moving. So we got to get into this position right here. Press, 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 relax. Okay, if you're here, you do the best you can and you just try to keep getting better and better and better. Let's go over to the net post here real quick. We're going to finish up before I get into some Q&A. Now, I didn't show you any core exercises. I left that out because we're just ad-libbing and I forget sometimes, but make sure you're doing core exercises. I love planks and side planks, anything with your body weight. I'm not a huge fan of crunches. Let's just keep the body stable and get into those front planks and side plank position. My last exercise for you, I'm going to end with a bang. This is something that I learned from Dick Hartzell in Youngstown, Ohio. I was practicing, I learned how to take care of my ankles. I learned how to take care of my body. He has something called shoulder traction. And you get a band, like what you see here, and you get it nice and tight. You get into a wide base, and you just move and you pull. And you move and you pull. And you just open up that shoulder. open up that shoulder. Look at that range that I'm getting, right? It's no wonder that my arm, I don't even practice my serve, and then when I go serve big, I don't have any arm problems because I'm just opening my body. I can turn this way, open my chest. Look at this. I'm trying to move my shoulder joint 360 degrees. Practice this. You'll feel little clicks and cracks and openings, and it's amazing how the tissue starts to do new things and to feel better. So guys, this has been amazing. Probably went overtime, but I just get excited. We talked about mindset and visualization and awareness. We talked about technique, and we covered the grip and the first move. We covered continuous swings and rhythm and tempo and the racket drop. We moved over to our fitness station, and I showed you some cool little single leg strength exercises and some back and rotator cuff exercises. And then we got into shoulder traction. You guys, serving over 50, hitting with more power over 50 is possible. I really believe you guys can do it. Peter, thanks so much again for helping me, but inviting me to be a part of TennisCon. I know you worked tirelessly on this, and you had so many great coaches and people on TennisCon, and I'm just happy and grateful that I could be a part of it. I'm going to take the phone back now and handle any Q&A that comes across. Thanks again, guys, and let's answer some questions. All right, I'm back. I'm back in the saddle, guys. Great tips, enjoyed them. Thanks, Charlene. Really appreciate it. I don't know if, Peter, if you want me to answer questions, I'll hang out here. If I'm good to go, we can end the live. You can let me know. Gosh, 111 people. That's awesome. Great job, Peter, putting on TennisCon. And I'll just hang out here if you need anything. Renee, thanks. Very informative. Great tip, tennis dog, I love it. Give us a few more thumbs up. We got 16 thumbs up. I think, we put our heart, Peter puts his heart and soul into TennisCon. I put my heart and soul into into those tips that I gave. How far the contact should be, contact point. I think you're saying how far in front. That's an interesting question about how far in front with the contact point. I think it varies for everyone. I don't have a stock answer for that. I think obviously we want to get the toss. More thumbs up for Jeff. I agree. Yeah, yes, in front. So I think you get to play around with it, guys. This is the joy of tennis. Is like, it's not black and white. I mean, yes, there are certain parameters that we talked about with the serve that you have to fit into, but some people serve bigger when the toss is more in front. Some people serve bigger when the ball is more up above the head. You have to learn a few new stretches, body weight exercises. Awesome, Steve. You have to play around with what works for you. So get out on the court and practice and vary where your toss is. How do you think I learned how to serve? Do you think I had some coach just tell me what to do? No, I had to go on a journey. I had to go on a serve witch hunt to find answers. And I want you guys to do that too. Yes, you are privy to some of the most amazing information in the world now with Peter's content and with my content and the other coaches' content that you can now go out and explore. Make tennis an exploration. So to figure out how far in front it should be to get more power. Nathan, thanks, Jeff. Great lesson. What about the legs on the serve? It's a great question. I think the legs are important, but what I find is that many people have deficiencies with the upper body and how they move their arm and their shoulders and how they use their core, how they turn their body, how they use the racket drop. And that's why I didn't talk a lot about the legs today. Yes, the legs are important. I think it gives you that extra oomph at the end. But first, I believe we have to improve what the upper body is doing. The legs are important. I find that a lot of people use too much legs or they squat too much. We didn't cover that today. So you want to use the legs just the right amount, okay? You want to use the legs just the right amount. Any tip to avoid pronating too early? Nice review on the serve, always helpful. Great tips on stretching. So I've never really seen anyone pronate too early. Maybe if you have a forehand grip, you do that. But I feel like I wonder about that question. Tips to avoid pronating too early. I don't know. Like honestly, and I'll be the first to tell you. my guess is that's not the problem. I would say, is there a grip issue? Because I usually, if someone has the right technique, they pronate at the right time. Someone said how long to stay in the trophy position. I'm a big believer in more of a continuous feeling on the serve. Even if there's a slight pause in the trophy position, like Federer has a slight delay in his trophy position, even if there's a slight pause, I still think it should feel continuous. That's why I teach the continuous swing. So when someone says how long to stay in the trophy position, I would say you just keep that racket moving at a smooth tempo. There's a slow go type of a build when you practice moving the racket. Being loose as you serve is key, you think, Jeff? Yeah, being loose is everything. I think that's a huge fundamental component. I'd say 99.99% of players are too tight when they serve. So think about that for a second. How can you relax your arm? I was just curious, I'm curious how people can relax. Be curious. Can you relax your fingers more? Can you swing the racket in a more continuous fashion? Can you dangle the hand a little bit more off the racket and practice your racket drop? Do those things. Again, it was funny. Now that I'm talking to you guys, I'm thinking about, man, I left out stuff on the legs and I left out stuff on the tempo, the slow-mo movement. Again, I could probably do a 3-hour workshop on the serve itself, but I think we gave you some really, really valuable content today. Love your dirty diaper. Thanks. The dirty diaper is a kick serve drill that I teach. I love that drill to help the kick. Here is Andre. I love your serve videos. Any tips on how to avoid over-rotation? Yeah, so over-rotation usually happens because the turn at the beginning is not big enough. So we want to have a bigger turn. That elbow the enemy concept, we want to have a bigger turn, and you can actually practice keeping your head up longer, because as soon as you move your head, there's a chance that you're going to rotate. But I find that anyone that over rotates or is facing the net, they either have a pinpoint stance where they're moving the back foot up, or they rotate early because they didn't have a big enough turn at the outset. So anyone that has a little turn is probably going to be facing the net. So hopefully I answered the question adequately there for you. Peter, give me a heads up. How much longer should I go on the Q&A? If you're still there, you might have moved on to the next lesson that you're teaching. I know today's a big serve day. Alex, love this lesson. Awesome people. Yeah, this is amazing. You guys are awesome. Again, big shout out to Juan Martin. I came late and I missed almost all the serve power. Can I see it again? Yeah, talk to Peter about that. Get signed up for TennisCon. What's your recommendation for having one toss for different serve, kick, flat? Thanks for all the great info. So I actually am a believer that you can have different tosses. I know there's people out there that say you should be able to hit all serves off of one toss, and I think that's to a certain extent that is true. But if you want to hit a kick, it's going to help if you toss the ball more over your head, or if you're a right-hander, more to the left. If you want to hit a better slice, you might want to toss it more to the right if you're a righty. So I'm okay with having different tosses. I just think it's easier to create the type of serve that you want off of having different slices. You just have to different tosses. You just have to get out and practice these different types of serves. Peter, if you're still around, give me a heads up, and when I should wrap this up. I did say I was going to do a little bit of Q&A here. I might be ending it soon if I don't hear from you. But again, you guys were awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We had 150 people on the live. This was so fun for me to do, and really, really enjoyed it. You guys are great. Tennis Dog says thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being so passionate about the sport. Francis says thanks. I know you guys are probably going on to your next classes for the day. Really appreciate everything you guys are doing for the sport of tennis, trying to get better. And thanks again to Peter. Kevin says thanks for everything. Thanks to Peter and TennisCon and all the other coaches that are trying to move the needle forward. Very informative. Thanks. You're welcome. Okay, guys, had a ton of fun today. We're going to wrap up live from Denver, Colorado. I'm going to go do my thing. Talk to you later. Bye.